Fala cavalos, beleza? Eu sou o Guabá.
Progressive overload is something you hear thrown around everywhere in the fitness industry as being the holy grail of building muscle. And I think it's the most misguided, misunderstood concept in fitness, or at least one of them. So you need to realize, as someone who's trying to build muscle, your objective needs to be challenging a muscle. It doesn't necessarily need to be lifting more weight. So if you can learn to detach from the belief that more weight equals more muscle, that's the first step in changing your thought process. So let's think about something. Muscles are inside the body. You know, they don't know how much weight is being lifted outside the body. They know tension. So what are the other ways of manipulating tension? Most people completely miss 50% of the equation. Distance. By challenging distance before challenging load, you can actually increase the amount of work that the muscle is doing without ever increasing the load. So as soon as I put more weight in my hand, more weight on the bar, more weight in the machine, oftentimes my body is gonna manipulate itself to complete the exercise. So in your brain goes, I gotta complete this exercise. No matter what happens, I'm gonna complete it. I'm not thinking about challenging a muscle, your brain's thinking about completing an exercise. And if that's the case, you're not really attached to what it looks like. So your brain may change certain things. Your body's gonna go, I'm gonna complete this exercise no matter what. We all see lat pull downs that look like this. We all see bicep curls that look like this. Why is that happening? It's your body's internal mechanism of cheating. Your body's trying to complete a rep rather than challenge a muscle. You, who want to build muscle, you got to learn to challenge a muscle. So, distance. If I'm doing a 100-pound dumbbell press with chest press, and I have the dumbbells directly over my elbows, I'm doing a 100-pound press and I'm doing 8 repetitions, and I go, man, that was easy, I can go heavier. I increase the weight by 10% and I go to 110 pounds. And now I also decrease the distance by over 10%. So let's say I go in 2 inches from my elbows. I've increased the load by 10%, but I've decreased the distance by over 10%. Thereby, I'm actually doing less work. So how does that make sense? If I'm holding a weight right here where my shoulders, elbows, and wrists are stacked, and the dumbbell's right through there, how heavy is it? 20-pound dumbbell. Pretty easy, I can do it there all day. If I take it 2 inches outside of my shoulder, geez, that's harder. Now if I take it way out here, God, I can't hold it there very long at all. What's changed? Distance. The muscle that crosses the joint that I'm trying to challenge has to work way harder when a weight's here than when it's here, right? So if I'm doing a 100-pound dumbbell and I'm here versus there, which one's harder? Everyone would know, well, that one's a lot harder when you're a little further out. So the converse is true. If I go in, I'm actually decreasing the amount of work that this muscle has to do. So you guys need to realize that just because you're challenging more load doesn't necessarily mean the muscle you're trying to work is getting more actual work. So until you've first standardized the stimulus, standardized the execution so it's absolutely perfect every time, which is something I teach in hypertrophy mastery, you got to master the stimulus. You got to standardize the stimulus before adding more load makes any sense. And for most of us, that's almost an impossibility. I see maybe 1% of the people in the gym who can actually standardize the stimulus because it's limited by your ability to stabilize. So if I'm trying to train my pec, I'm trying to train my bicep, I'm trying to train my lat, it's always going to be limited by my ability to stabilize one end of the muscle. So if I'm trying to maximally contract my bicep, this end has to be completely stabilized. If it moves even a little bit, I can't produce maximum tension or torque in this bicep. So it's important for me to realize that just because I put more weight in my hand doesn't mean this does more work. Because if this end moves a little bit, guess what? Less work. If I take the dumbbells in a little bit, guess what? Less work. If I arch a little bit more, guess what? Maybe not the same amount of work. So realizing, guys, and if you want to make progressive overload a thing that actually works, step one, before any of that matters, learn how to challenge distance and time. Time is also something you can challenge. So I implore each and every one of you, before you start increasing loads, start challenging distance and start challenging the amount of time, because that makes so much more sense. Because I know that as long as I've standardized the stimulus, if I just increase the amount of time, guess what? That muscle's working harder or longer. If I increase the distance, guess what? That muscle is also working more as well. Greater amount of tension or torque through that muscle. So before you challenge load, challenge distance and time, and earn your right to challenge load, because challenging load does work, but most of you can't do it, and you end up getting less results, sore joints, and pain rather than growth. Have an awesome day. Live your greatest life.